Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, brought to you by the Ad Free Shows, Podcast Heat, and Wrestling According to Alba Networks. I'm John Alba. That's the broken one. That's the woken one. That's a spoken one himself for more than 200 plus episodes. Matt Hardy, what's good, man? You've been living it up in the snow.
I have been. I like to refer to it as the North Carolina Nor'easter. You know.
Does that make sense? Because
it does to me.
Okay.
it just because, like, you know, we don't get hit with storms like this. We'll get like a snow, and it's there for a day, a little dusting, whatever else. But you know, we got 7 inches, and it was. I mean, it was like half a foot deep. You know, it was 6 or 7 inches. It was crazy.
Man.
You know, when we first went out into it, and as I was telling you earlier, it was under freezing for like 3 or 4 days straight. So the snow remained as well. The best thing about this is that I was off this weekend. It was done intentionally to have an off week because I busted my ass all month. But I was off this weekend, and I was at home with the kids. And the kids, there's at the edge of our property, there's a state-owned property, which myself and Jeff, we called the clay hole. We would go up there and we'd ride ATVs and four-wheelers and everything else. And they always store dirt there. It's where they put dirt and soil, and they distribute it to other areas, whatever. It's just a place that they hold it. And there was a big hill up there currently, and the kids had seen it as we drive by, and they're like, could we go up to the big hill? Could we go to the big hill? And Rabbi was like, I don't really want to, you know, I don't know. It's so big, and it could be dangerous, could be crazy. And I said, I'll go, and I'll make sure they're safe, whatever else. So we went up there and did that, and like we walked. It's like half a mile there, so it was quite the adventure through the snow. And we walked by Grandpa's. We stopped at Grandpa's, Senior Benjamin's, on the way home so they could warm up. But dude, that was a lot of fun. I was very happy I was at home to spend so much time outside with them in the snow. I was the guy that was out there doing the most. Rebby's like, you can keep that snow. I had too much in New York. She doesn't even want to go outside.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, we had snowstorms all the time, and in recent years, you know, global warming and all that, we haven't really had a lot of big snowstorms, and it was bad here last week, and the weather throughout this past week has been like every morning I walk out to go to the office, and it's like it feels like -1, feels like 0. I'm like, yeah. I thought I left Bangor, Maine all these years ago, you know. But,
no, I mean, I'm sure there it was definitely brick.
It was brick, as the kids would say. Yeah, or your wife, true. Yeah.
Or my wife.
Yeah.
As a kid.
I'm glad to see that the kids were experiencing some snowstorms. That's cool. Those are good memories to make. At least it's good for the kids, you know, they get to experience that sort of thing. That, like, those are some core memories, you know. You're growing up, you're doing sleigh riding, you're going down the hills, like that's
building snowmen.
Yeah.
I mean, it was for Jeff and I, no doubt. So I am glad they got to experience it. Evie wanted it really bad. She wanted it to snow on Christmas, you know, over and over, and she thought like, oh, it's Christmas, it has to snow. But she really enjoyed it and had a really good time, and they all did. They all really, really enjoyed it. They love to eat snow, man. I said, just make sure, guys, you're picking up clean snow.
Yeah, you don't want that yellow snow. Especially so you got that little that Hardy pup walking around now. You got to be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's great. I'm glad that it was an awesome weekend and beginning of the week at home for you guys. And it was also the Royal Rumble. And last week we talked about the 2002 Royal Rumble. You have any notes you want to add back on that after getting a chance to watch it back?
No, it was a fun Rumble to watch back, though. I did enjoy it. I thought the booking up was really good. Have you seen the full 2026 Rumble yet, John?
I have. Yes.
You did? Where do you think it stacked up in comparison to 2002? Were they similar? Were they very different?
The men's Rumble specifically?
The men's Rumble specifically.
The men's Rumble specifically. I thought I talked about this on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com. I do Patreon wrestling preview shows, review shows. You can check that out. I felt like this Royal Rumble, both Rumbles, but the men too especially, thought it was fine. I felt like in both Rumbles, but especially the men, there was a real lack of urgency. Like we watched that 2002 Rumble last week, and with the eliminations, there was a lot of drama leading up to the eliminations. There was a lot of sense of urgency with trying to fight for their lives. And I felt like a lot of the eliminations that happened in the men's match were pretty weak, truth be told.
Okay.
And it almost felt like how we talked about last week, how the Rumble is like kind of broken up in 3 chapters almost. It felt like none of the chapters connected to each other. Like Obafemi comes out at number 1. He's dominant for the first few entrants. He doesn't really eliminate anyone of super importance on the card, but he eliminates a lot of guys.
Right.
And then he just hangs around the rest of the Rumble until he's eliminated by Brock Lesnar. And I felt there were a lot of situations like that in the men's Rumble. How'd you feel about it?
Well, I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
The fact that Oba was in there and he did eliminate bodies, which I like, because they're still, they're introducing him to, the WWE universe, obviously. And the fact that he had a good run and he ended up being eliminated by Brock Lesnar, I think that was all positive stuff. I was going to say, too, I saw a lot of people who were upset that I liked how they did the thing with Oba on Raw. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they had the War Raiders out there.
Yeah, and they destroyed them.
I'm sure they're not crazy about the spot, but they were out there and it was advertised to be a tag match and they were waiting for a tag team. Oba just came to the ring himself and they're like, what the hell's going on? And then he came out and he beat them both down, whatever. It wasn't a match and it wasn't an official loss. It was just him kind of making a statement like, hey, I'm here. This is my brand. I am the ruler. Know my name.
Well, that's very similar to what they did with Brock all those years ago when they debuted Brock.
It wasn't far off. I mean, he did it with Jeff and I, and it was one of those things when it was all said and done, it ended up helping Jeff and I because we ended up feuding with him because I'll never forget they knew that I was kind of the puppet master behind Jeff, but they said, like, we would love to have Brock work with you and Jeff because I know, Matt, you are very trustworthy and you're not going to take liberties. You're not going to take advantage of them. You're going to do the match the right way and whatever else. And that was very cool that they had that faith in us. Like there was a couple of times I got that call to come work with someone that was a brand Nubian.
Yeah, I just felt like it was a little disconnected. The women, they tried to tell some more stories in it, and there's so much going on with the tag teams in the women's division right now, and that played a role in the match. There just was a lot of circumstantial and happenstance stuff, like Brock Lesnar getting eliminated by 2 guys that he's not going to have any future program with during an entrance. I don't know. It didn't feel like a very conducive Rumble to me. And I've seen far worse. It was not I saw some people like, this is the way. I did not think this was the worst Rumble ever by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But I definitely feel like we've seen better ones. Plus, you know me, man, I'm all about stakes. And obviously the stake of winning the Rumble gets you to the
medium or medium rare.
Certainly those too. But winning the Rumble gets you in the main event of WrestleMania. That's obviously enormous as is. But one of the things that I loved about your era especially was everyone was like fighting for that right to be in the Rumble, right? And you had a month plus of build of people just trying to qualify for the Royal Rumble or to get into the Royal Rumble. And then they're drawing their numbers out of the tumbler. And so it made all these actions feel very earned and the stakes very big. And now we knew like 15 people going into the Rumble. Like half the Rumble wasn't even like declared. And I don't know, man, it just felt a little underwhelming to me in that sense. Coach Rosie joined us live, says Javon did great. He did. Javon had a good showing. And there he was.
Javon was the Iron. Javon was the Iron Man of the match, right?
Yep.
I saw they announced that statistic on Raw the following night, and I saw his match there where he also picked up a big W on Raw.
So what do you think about Roman winning? He was my pick. I was he your pick? I can't remember last week.
No, I was still going for a young up and coming.
Oh yeah, you went with Braun Breaker, who I hope you didn't put money down on that one, pal.
I don't bet. I've had many vices over my career in life, but betting has never been one. I had put down Braun Breaker, because I said like him or Jacob Fatu, like a dark horse, maybe try to elevate someone. But you made a good call with Roman Reigns, and after you said that, the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, that really does make sense. And speaking of Roman Reigns, him and Punk, they killed it. They sold tickets. They moved money in that promo they did on Raw. It was great.
Yeah, they had a real good promo. What'd you like about it?
I just like there was such a reality to it because I know from speaking to Roman some of how he feels about Punk and with Punk too. I know how he feels about when he left WWE during that time as well. So I mean, there was a lot of great reality in it, and it's great because they both executed so well on both ends of their conversation, their discussion, their promo against one another. It was hard to see the blur between fact and fiction. Like, what is real? What are they really? Or do they really dislike? Do they really hate each other deep down? Maybe they do. I mean, because that's what it gave off. But with that same thing being said, obviously they are working together, and I think they both made a lot of great points during that thing, both points and counterpoints about how they both kind of affected each other to get back to this point to be the main event of WrestleMania.
The promo on Raw, man, it was very heated.
Yes.
And there definitely was a degree of reality to it. It was just funny to me because it's like, the reality is Roman's probably not going to be around very long during this feud, right? So they kind of had to put all the cards on the table very early.
Do we know, is Roman actively shooting something currently right now?
I don't know if he's actively shooting something, but he's on that Roman Reigns schedule, pal. That's his gimmick, man. You're not going to see Roman Reigns wrestling on Raw next week. Doesn't work like that. You heard his comments on Pat McAfee. This is the Roman Reigns world, and we're all living in it. So they got it out of the way. I'm glad that they didn't draw it out. Like, you're going to have the match at WrestleMania, and now I assume Punk's just going to be on side quests with Finn Balor and whatever they can muster up until Roman Reigns is ready to come back, and you'll have Roman Reigns and CM Punk. You think that's the night 2 main event?
I think so.
Feels like it to me.
I think so. It feels like the biggest that feels like the biggest match you could make. Yeah. In terms of star power and just great promo by you're right. Let it play out. But it just in terms of star power and just being a legitimate box office star, those are the two biggest stars paired together.
Punk's never had the main event. Last year he was in a main event of night 1, but he's never had the main event. So I think that would be pretty meaningful to him.
Sure,
should he main event night 2. And who knows? This could be the last time Roman has a night 2 main event. You never know. It's crazy how all this stuff works, but he's a big time draw still. And, I think it's going to be a good match. It is funny to me that Roman's going to be competing for the sorry, you're not Roman Reigns World Championship. But hey, you know what? They've done a nice job adding some equity into that title over the past couple of years. So
they have. They've elevated the value of it, no doubt.
So I feel good about that. And on the women's side, Liv Morgan picking up the win. And
which Liv was my pick.
Yeah, Bianca did not return to this, which I think was surprising for a lot of people. But instead, Liv picks up the W, and I'll tell you, man, no denying it. You watch her. She's a huge star, isn't she?
Yeah, she's found her lane. You know what I mean? She's found how to be her, and she has found how to be a star in her own right, and she's very comfortable with it. And the stuff she's doing with Dom, their interactions are so great. I popped so huge to see Dom return on Monday on Raw. So I'm big fan of his. I'm a big Dom mark. I love his work.
I'm curious what the destination ends up being for WrestleMania, because they have this situation where Stephanie Vicaire, people love her, but I don't think there's nearly enough heat for a Stephanie Vicaire Liv Morgan match as there is for, say, a Inter-Judgment Day fight between Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. So I'm curious the direction they go with that, but I think from an in-ring standpoint, Stephanie Vicaire and Liv Morgan would be a pretty good match that you do at WrestleMania. So, Yeah, we'll
Well, they are teasing that Liv Morgan and big sexy match, right?
they are.
Yeah.
I got a bold pick though. I'll tell you this. I think we're
What'd you
getting a
get?
women's. I think we're getting a women's TLC match at WrestleMania
Oh yeah, okay.
for the tag titles. I think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get a women's TLC match.
Okay.
I think they want to level up. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are super over. The Bella Twins are back. They're super over. They've got quality teams in the division. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. You can't tell me that a TLC match between those three teams, or if you threw another team in there, that'd be some pretty good business.
That's an interesting prediction, no doubt about it.
So
it would definitely be something that would make the women's tag match and division obviously stand out at WrestleMania, which I am never against. I like things standing out and seeming special and seeming like they're being done for the first time ever, which would be cool.
Dave's in here preaching. He had the TLC idea all along. Josh Henney's saying, any thoughts on who faces Drew? With Drew helping to eliminate Cody, does Cody win the Elimination Chamber?
With seeing that is one thing that I actually thought about. I don't know though. I don't know if it is if WrestleMania is the moment for Cody. Maybe it is. I mean, he still is obviously one of the big top baby faces and big stars. So
but we've seen Drew McIntyre and Cody a million times. So
no, I know. I know. I mean, we have seen it quite a bit, and that's why I'm thinking like, are you going to keep the title on Cody, or are you having guys that are going to come like interrupt his reign for a little while, and then he has to chase it and try and sell more tickets and win the title back? But I don't know if I see that at WrestleMania. I almost see a fresh match coming out of this, Drew versus someone else.
Do you see a path to the triple threat match between Jacob Fatu, Cody, and Drew potentially?
Yeah, there could be some sort of path to that for sure. I don't know exactly how we'd figure that out. Maybe Jacob Fatu is the winner of the Elimination Chamber, and maybe Cody wins some sort of match that allows him to challenge.
Maybe Cody sells his soul to The Rock this year.
Yeah, maybe we do that. Maybe we do that this year.
Maybe that's where we get here. I don't know, man. Cody, dare I say, and I love me some Cody Rhodes, but dare I say I'm getting a little tired of Cody Rhodes, squeaky clean good guy being in the world title picture all the time. Oh.
So you want him to turn heel?
Like I'm not saying I want him to turn heel, but I'm saying I want to see something a little different from Cody.
You want to see Cody Rhodes version 1?
Cody Rhodes version 1, broken Cody, perhaps.
Come out with some Cody facts.
I don't want to see Stardust Cody. Don't need to see that. Don't need to see that. So, yeah,
you've seen enough of Stardust Cody.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough of Stardust Cody. Not to say that I dislike Stardust, but I think there was a little bit of a limit to Stardust, a little bit of a ceiling to Stardust. Yeah, Dave's saying Cody politicking his way into a triple threat match would go over quite well with the Cody haters.
That's whatever. They're gonna love you, they're gonna hate you, whatever. It is what it is.
How about someone that you knew in AEW, Powerhouse Hobbs, as Josh Henney points out, debuting as Royce Keys, Powerhouse, making his WWE debut. How do you feel about that?
Super happy for him. Really cool. Really cool that he got to debut at a Royal Rumble, which is such a landmark event in so many ways. And it was cool, man. I shot him a text afterwards, heard back from him that night. So chatted with him just a little bit. Very, very happy for him that he's getting that opportunity. I think he has such a massive potential to be a big star, and hopefully he realizes that.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask you, what do you think his ceiling is?
I think he's got a high ceiling. You know what I mean? I mean, just looking at him as he is right now, I can see him as someone who's a player, like, in that U.S. title, Intercontinental title mix right from the jump. And, he has the potential to be a player and challenge for the world title as well.
Okay. All right. I hope so. I like Hobbs. I've always been a big Hobbs guy. I think he has a lot of potential indeed, for sure. And I'm hoping to see what ends up coming from him. So, yeah, man, we're going to talk about the big storyline that came out of this pay-per-view, premium live event, whatever the hell you want to call it. That is, of course, AJ Styles. And
what is AJ Styles' future?
What is the future of AJ Styles? So I'm excited to dig into that. Real quick, Dave asking, what elimination in your career was the most memorable or even painful? He's guessing it was 2003 with Brock.
No, 2003 with Brock was very easy. Those guys to eat F5 me out onto the World's Greatest Tag Team. Super easy. God, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've really had a extremely painful Rumble elimination. That's crazy.
That's good.
You know,
what about memorable? Brock's got to be the most memorable one, right?
Yeah, I think that is the most memorable one. You know, we did that deal where they wanted Jeff and I to eliminate each other when Drew Carey
in 2001. Yeah,
yeah, and it was like that was it was Jeff's idea, and he was like dead set on it. And he was like, "Man, I'm being so creative, and I'm really trying hard to do different things." So I was like, "Okay, we'll do it." I know I wasn't crazy about it at the end, so you know, we did it, and I know a lot of people are like, "Well, what happened exactly?" And it's, you know, it's one of those things you have to realize in pro wrestling that you are playing to the biggest audience ever, and it went down just the way Jeff had envisioned it, like the way he wanted it to go. But I think to some people it was a little confusing too.
You're on top of the turnbuckle, and he like almost pulled you down, right? Or you pulled him down.
Yeah, we were connected because of his outfit and whatnot. So
right.
It was what it was. You know what I mean? It's probably, if I would have had full creative control, it would have probably been something different. But that's really what Jeff wanted to do, and I think he sold it to somebody, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, somebody.
Okay. Well, we are talking AJ Styles on this week's podcast, but before we can, you know, got to ask, please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact: Matt refuses to feel sorry for himself.
There you go. A little daily dose of School of Hard Knocks right there from Matt Hardy.
Yeah, it's so funny. Someone, even the reason I thought about that, because I told this guy, I said, "No, man, don't feel sorry for me." This was God, it's been probably, God, when did we record last week? We recorded earlier, right?
Yep.
It was sometime after that on Wednesday or Thursday. I just ran to somebody, said, "Oh man, I just love your stuff, man." He said, "Man, I feel so sorry though, man. I feel so sorry for you because, like, you know, you did all that stuff as Mattitude version 1, and when you were like, Matt Hardy will not die with Edge, like, you should have been like a world champion during that time." He said, "Man, I feel sorry for you, man. You feel sorry that didn't happen?" I was like, "No." I mean, it sure, would that have been great to happen at some point? But yeah, no, I don't ever feel sorry for myself with anything, especially with pro wrestling. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that like put me and Jeff together, like, well, there's Jeff and there's Matt and whatever, but just in comparison, I mean, like, both of us have had like these insanely spectacular money-making careers, you know what I mean? So like, there's nothing that I feel sorry about. And even stuff in the past, like there's shit you've done wrong, you go like, "Oh, well, I learned from that." You know, you do something bad and you learn how to, you know, you learn how to grow from it. One thing that I am adamant about is not feeling sorry for myself, especially with this crazy ass blessed life I have. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position I'm in.
Certainly have. I won't lie. There were times, Matt, you know, right now I'm in a loving relationship. Things are great. Things are real good. But you know, you were a witness to it. Things got a little bleak for old John Boy for a few years there. We were throwing some things at the wall and seeing what would stick. And I'd go on some of these dates and I'd feel a little sorry for myself because I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? And maybe, Matt, maybe it's just because I didn't have Mando. Because sometimes when you're preparing for that first date, you're thinking, what do I got to do right? Maybe I get a new haircut. Maybe I just got to try to talk myself out of being nervous, out of talking to this person I've been courting. But a non-negotiable for a first date, especially around Valentine's Day, deodorant. And with our friends at Mando, man, it's like the perfect Valentine's Day gift to yourself. I don't know if you want to give that to your significant other. I think if you gave your significant other Mando, it's a nice, thoughtful gift, but it might be sending the wrong message. But that doesn't.
It might be.
Hey, listen. if you were to give it out to some wrestling fans or to some members of wrestling locker rooms, I wouldn't fault you one bit.
Yeah.
But for a first date, take care of yourself with Mando, because we're talking whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere on your body, your pits, your balls, your thigh folds, your belly buttons, your crack, your feet, wherever. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. They got the solid deodorant stick. They got the spray deodorant. And Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. Because here's my favorite stat, John Fact. This is John's favorite part of his Mando read every single time. Mando sponsors the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10. But when you're squeaky clean with Mando, out of 10, Matt, the average grundle odor level
is 0.
That's right.
0.
That's right.
That's right. 0. Nothing.
0. Nothing. Nada. Zip. So, do you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? Well, you can find them at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, you got to shop Mando.com, because some men mask their BO with sense. Mando men get the job done right. Don't mask it. Man, do it. Get it? Available in retailers near you, or head to shopmando.com, because for a limited time, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Just use code MattHardy at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness.
And I recommend for Mando, everyone gift themselves Mando on Valentine's Day for themselves. I promise it'll help you pick up better dates.
So Josh says delete that grundle odor.
Delete!
Delete the grundle. AJ Styles, man. What a run AJ Styles has had. We did an AJ Styles episode about a year and a half ago. But there's just something so special that he brings to the table and has brought to the table for the last going on 3 decades now. Mm-hmm. And at the Royal Rumble, he has this match with Gunther, where Gunther cheats a little bit and passes him out, chokes him out. And that's the end of AJ Styles' WWE career, and he's going to take his gloves off. But he doesn't. And it's got everyone talking, Matt. What is in store for the future of AJ Styles?
Well, I'll be honest, in a perfect world, I would like to see AJ Styles return to his home, to TNA. It's a little selfish for me to ask that. But I know he loves TNA. He feels at home at TNA, and right now TNA is in a position where AJ Styles could greatly elevate the company, and he would be a big deal there. So I would love to see him there. I know this is he is at that point where he's winding down. He doesn't want to work all the time, but there are some matches there that I know he would love to have. And I'm sure the wrestling fans, there's a bunch of people that would love to see him do something at AEW, just because he has, Samoa Joe there is the first person that really stands out. Christopher Daniels is there too. Obviously, those guys were so closely connected. But I do not think he's done. I 100% think AJ will wrestle again. And I feel in my heart that it will end up being at TNA.
Why do you think AJ is going to wrestle again? Because Paul Levesque, Triple H, says after the show, AJ told me his in-ring career's done. Other people in WWE have gone public. Pete Rosenberg said AJ has said he is done. He does not want to wrestle in the ring anymore. He wants to potentially work in wrestling in the future, but he does not want to wrestle in the ring any longer. So why do you think that he is going to wrestle again?
I feel like he is still so good and so healthy, even though he's a little older. He's in a phenomenal, excuse me, I'll use it as a pun. He's in a phenomenal condition as far as an athlete, as far as a pro wrestler goes. He's always been a guy that has lived a very clean, straightforward life. Everything else, he's taking care of himself. That's very obvious. And he can still go. He can still go at a very, very high level. And it's just hard to imagine someone who can kind of call his own shots outside of Alexandria, which is WWE. That's a reference I made years ago, which I like. He can call his own shots outside of that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And the fact that they did the whole show business with, taking off the gloves, but put the gloves back on. I mean, just that's alluding that something more is happening. And I find it hard for someone who is still that good to completely walk away from it as an in-ring competitor. I mean, and one of those things, TNA would be a labor of love, I think, for AJ in many ways. And then at AEW, I mean, dude, he could make a mint over there too. That is one thing that is without a doubt. I mean, they would pay him huge money to go to AEW.
We'll talk more about those specific destinations in a moment, but yeah, he has been saying for a while, like 2026 would be the year he hangs it up. So I do believe that this is probably the end this year. It's just a matter of whether what we saw at the Royal Rumble is the actual end, or is it just the end of his WWE run. Now, Dave pointing out, AJ's going to be on Stephanie McMahon's podcast this week, and they're going to talk about the gloves. So that will have dropped by the time this episode drops. For all we know, he'll clarify that. We'll just have to go on some working assumption here. But as Dave also says, wrestlers never lie, Matt.
They never lie. I mean, the whole business is built on a lie, so obviously they will never lie. I mean, it just makes common sense.
I thought the match was really good with he and Gunther. It wasn't the best AJ Styles match I've ever seen. AJ still held back on some things, but I thought they told a really good story. Gunther having to resort to cheating to get the upper hand. He's a heel, right? That's what heels do. But they leveraged a lot of the equity they've built into him from the John Cena retirement match into this match. And now it certainly feels like the fruits of the labor are paying off, where Gunther is a true, legit badass that is like top tier heel in this company right now.
The career killer is going to become a thing, and it's going to become very popular when it's all said and done.
He's got to retire Brock later this year, right?
That wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me.
I think that has to be the route for him. Didn't love him being in the Rumble afterwards. I get they were able to get away with it. Oh, he had the match earlier, so he was tired, all that, but would have preferred he stayed out of the Rumble. But as far as AJ is concerned, it was a great way to say goodbye to his WWE career, and we're going to talk about the future stuff momentarily. But looking back at AJ's WWE run, we hit on it on that episode. We did a little bit, but man, talk about someone who just overachieved in every way. I don't think AJ had any business having as good of a WWE run as he had. And I think there's still some people would even argue the run could have been even better than what he truly had. How do you look back on it?
I mean, well, the first thing I kind of think of whenever I think about AJ Styles is the first time that I got to wrestle him. I know Jeff had worked with him some and talked about how talented he was. And I remember hearing about AJ Styles from Bill Behrens, if you've heard that name. Whenever we were doing NWA Wildside, there was a promotion that we did in Sylva, North Carolina. It was called NCW. And it was very much like an ECW type organization. They invited people to come to the ring and bring weapons. And I remember myself and Jeff, Joy Abs, Jason R., Marty Garner, Shannon Moore, and then we brought other guys out there, Steve Carino, Joy Mercury, Christian York, and Caprice Coleman, a bunch of our guys. But we ended up selling this place out, and the venue would hold 410, 20 people. We would sell it out. It was like a club, not that big. Jeff had worked with AJ and told me that he was really talented. I initially heard about him from Bill Behrens. I remember this place that we were doing these crazy shows at. It was this club. We got like a little over 400 people, and they started selling it out every week. People were bringing in, trash cans and kendo sticks, and I remember they brought in a weed eater. It was a wild time, really wild time in the late to mid to late 90s. And this place moved to Georgia, and then we still worked for them there because they had a nice TV deal. And after we had finished there and signed with WWE, I remember Bill Barron said, "Well, you've got to see this new kid, AJ Styles. Like he really likes you guys. He watched you guys, and you're a big inspiration for him now that you guys are doing WWE and you're starting to do well. But just remember that name, AJ Styles. You'll see him again." And lo and behold, I obviously did. The first time I got to work with AJ was in 2004, right before I came back to WWE. I did a couple Ring of Honor shots, and I did a IWC match where I wrestled AJ. And I was just thinking about that match. I remember the promoter was kind of like
2005 or 4, because you were fired in 05.
So sorry, 2005. Sorry, yes. My mistake. Yes, it was 2005. I was out in 2004, but I got fired in 2005. So it was at IWC, and I remember the promoter was like, he was doing really well at TNA at this time. And I had like all this momentum coming back. And he's like, "Well, I mean, you guys just kind of decide whatever you guys want to do for the finish. I'm cool with. I just want this match, whatever it is." And I just remember thinking about, I remember I tried to be, on the pulse of wrestling. I knew AJ was really liked by like diehard fans, especially people that did have access to the internet and could, read the internet, message boards, everything else. And I remember said, it's whatever. I'm going to be fine. I'm going back to do whatever I'm going to do. I'm going back to WWE TV. I'm established. But like this guy in a match with Matt Hardy, I said, like, yeah, let me put this guy over. And I remember we ended up doing that for the finish of the match. And we both hit our finishes and kicked out, and we both used each other's finishes and kicked out. It was a really fun match, man. And I had a great experience. And it's still, looking back, it's one of my favorite indie matches of all time.
So he does make the jump to WWE, as we know, in 2016 at the Royal Rumble. So he kind of storybooks his career where, bookend one end, bookend the other. He comes in and Vince doesn't really see it in him at first. He loses to Jericho in his first WrestleMania match. Mm-hmm. And they keep saying, "Oh, he's a pit bull. He's small and scrappy." And then when you hear that, man, you're like, "Oh no," right? Like that's kiss of death. For AJ.
I mean, well, with Vince in charge, you would know that, because he wasn't a fan of smaller guys. He wanted guys that were larger than life, that were going to get recognized in the airports, and just smaller guys. Like, he didn't see them as massive superstars.
Right, but then he has his program with Roman Reigns right after the WrestleMania match with Jericho, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, okay, this guy can hang in there with the best of them. And from that moment on, AJ is like a main event guy in WWE, wins the WWE championship a couple different times.
Yep.
Works heel, has a great feud with John Cena, has Shane McMahon's best WrestleMania match ever, and that might even be AJ's best WrestleMania match ever, which is wild to say at the end of the day. But then around 2020, 2021, there's a little bit of a trajectory shift with AJ's WWE run where, he battled some injuries, and maybe it doesn't really reach the creative peak that I think a lot of people hoped that it would. And we remember even 6 months ago, his son is complaining on social media about his dad's booking, and here we are now, he's leaving. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about like the last few years of AJ's run? Was it right to put him a little on the back burner because he's getting older in age, or would you have utilized him a little more? I'm curious what you think about that.
I mean, I think AJ's always been a top-notch in-ring wrestler, no doubt about it. I mean, he is extremely special. The fact that he is as old as he is now, and the fact that his body isn't full of scar tissue and he can still do so many of the spectacular moves the exact same way that he could 20 years ago, it's very, very impressive. I know I was able to catch some of his stuff whenever he was doing New Japan and the whole thing with the Bullet Club. Like, huge fan of his work there, and I was so happy that he got to go to WWE, because still, I feel like at the end of the day, now, because WWE is the oldest and greatest promotion ever known, like, you need to have a run there to really cement yourself and kind of, it's the seal of approval. Like, boom, I've made it at WWE. And, things change as time goes on. But like, I'm so happy for him that he got that run because, WWE is the great game at the end of the day. And I knew he could do good there as long as he was given the opportunity, as long as Vince wasn't looked at him as a stereotype. Oh, he's a small guy. He talks like a redneck or whatever the deal is. I don't like his twang, And Vince came around to him, and he ended up doing well. As far as taking time off, I mean, I would have always had AJ in the mix. As hard as he worked and as good and as talented as he was, in some capacity, I would have tried to get him in the mix as much as I could.
And he obviously suffered the really bad leg injury last year. I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if he left the company last year, but I think the leg injury might have pushed things back a little bit. He re-signs for 1 year, and now here we are, where does he stay? Does he go? Do we both agree that he'll eventually end up back with WWE at some point in a coaching or producing capacity?
Yes.
I agree. But that doesn't mean that has to happen now. So
right.
TNA has this working relationship with WWE. AEW, needless to say, does not. So how do you, like, realistically, Matt, how do you actually see this playing out for AJ? Like, it sounds like you think there's a good chance he comes into TNA. Do you think he comes into TNA, that's the end of it? Do you think he'll feel that temptation to go wrestle some of his friends in AEW? Like, AJ a decent bit. You know how the industry works. How do you think this actually plays out here?
I feel like he will end up coming to TNA and just kind of put his toes in the water, see what's going on, maybe actually have that match, because I know that he was totally down for having a match with Kazarian. Him and Frankie are obviously close, and that was something that he was down for, and he was up for doing it, but I don't think it happened because of the WWE side. They didn't want a main roster guy investing in a full-fledged big story and a big blow-off match for TNA is kind of what it felt like. And, once again, I'm not sure. This is kind of just, I am sensing here. I am sensing, speculating. And maybe he comes and maybe he does have that match. And maybe there's another match or two he would like to have, maybe something with Santana. Who knows? Following that, I don't think he's planning on coming in and like being at every TV. And I don't think he's planning on like working a full workload. I don't see that happening. I see this being is more of like a part-timer, which just kind of pops in and makes a big appearance and hopefully pops the crowd and pops a number. That kind of talent is kind of how I am looking at him. What happens past that, who knows? But one thing I can tell you is that, if Tony Khan and AEW, if they want someone bad enough, they are willing to pay a lot of money. So that's also another very strong temptation that could possibly weigh in on AJ as well.
There's just so many factors and circumstances lining up that could lead to him working in AEW if he wants to. Tony will throw a ton of money at him. That some of his best friends in the industry work in AEW. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels is behind the scenes, as you alluded to before. If he went to AEW, even if just for a few matches, he would be treated as one of the biggest deals ever in company history to come in there. That Tony Khan, when these big legends want to go out and retire, he usually does pretty right by them. Sting was a great example of that. Even Christopher Daniels got a great send-off too with Hangman. And then there's the allure too that if Tony Khan wanted to, and if AJ Styles wanted to go over there, he could be on a stadium show at All In Wembley later this summer. So, to me, if AJ really feels like he still has a little bit left here and he wants to work a little more, it just would make so much sense for him to do that after working some TNA matches. But do you see a world where the last actual match of AJ Styles' career happens in AEW, Matt?
I don't think so. If I'm a guessing guy, I still think people who have never worked for WWE, people who have grown up loving pro wrestling and wanting to become a pro wrestler, and they probably got turned on to pro wrestling because of WWE in some way, shape, or form. There's just such a loyalty that still is connected with WWE and an appreciation about it. And I guess it just depends on how much of that AJ has now, when it's all said and done.
But they don't have leverage, though. Think about, like, AJ has the leverage here. Because
no, I didn't say he doesn't. I'm just saying there. I mean, there's a lot of people you're going to talk to, which they're in a good spot. Mariah May, I'm sure if she would have re-signed with AEW, she would have made more money. I know she would have made more money, a lot more money. Powerhouse Hobbs, Royce Keys, he would have made more money if he'd re-signed with AEW. But what I'm saying, this WWE thing, this is what they grew up on. This was their dream. This was their aspiration. This is what they wanted to do. You know what I mean? And when it comes to AJ, I know he was a fan of WWE coming up, but he went there and he made it. And I think he feels like he is part of the system, in some ways. And it just depends on how loyal he ends up feeling or becoming to WWE when it's all said.
But he spent more time outside of WWE than he did in it and made a big name for himself outside of WWE.
100%. I'm trying to also just kind of give you a little insight into wrestlers' headspace about
I get that. I get
stuff.
that.
You know what I mean? So
I get that. I go back and forth on it because the true ultimate ending to AJ's career that would bookend everything perfectly is him retiring in TNA. No questions asked.
Right.
That makes sense. But I understand the appeal of him wanting to go not wrestle for AEW per se. Like, I would be surprised, and I'm sure you'd probably be surprised too. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'd be surprised if it's like on AJ's bucket list to go work for AEW and wrestle a few matches there. For me, I think it's more, if he went there, it's, hey, let's work with these guys one last time that I made my career on, with the Kenny Omegas, the AJs, the Young Bucks, those.
Yeah, no, and I do. I absolutely see that side of it. No doubt. I mean, because once again, AJ he has also been a journeyman. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's probably one of the reasons Vince ultimately ended up respecting him more. You know what I mean? I think I got more respect out of Vince because he knew, like, if I didn't like what was going on at WWE, I'd just leave and I'd go elsewhere. There's other places you can wrestle, even though WWE is the peak or the pinnacle. But yeah, I can definitely see a lot of motivation to go and get some of those matches one last time and really make it feel like you're ending your career on the right note.
And the way that I look at it is from the leverage standpoint that I was alluding to before, is that let's say AJ goes and has his last match in AEW. Are you really, especially after putting it out there publicly that he could come back and work in a producer role or a backstage role, are you really going to then say, well, because you worked in AEW, you no longer have a backstage job? Are you going to tell AJ Styles, one of the greatest performers of his generation, that he can't work for you in a backstage capacity because he ended his career somewhere else? Don't you think that would look pretty damn petty at the end of the day? But it is wrestling, right? I don't know. I think that'd be pretty petty.
Especially because it has been, acknowledged publicly and whatnot. But it's go. Color me intrigued. I'm very intrigued of what Uncle Alan is going to do. What do we have here?
What about this one from Dave? What are your thoughts on WWE fans who have said they'll think less of AJ if he wrestles again in another company? I think that's absolutely ridiculous, but would like you two to speak on it.
I think that is absolutely asinine. Once again, you have to stop listening to what people on the internet say. It's crazy. Just like, especially something like that. You have to separate like real life and like your motivations for doing stuff or to make money, or it's a good opportunity, or you want to do it for ABC, XYZ, whatever. And just people on the internet say anything. Things are, oh my God, the Royal Rumble was the best Royal Rumble ever. The Royal Rumble was the worst Royal Rumble ever. It's everything is just so blown out of proportion online. It just makes me crazy. And just like I was like, fuck, get away from the internet and try and embed yourself in reality and common sense. You know what I mean? And think from that point.
I think it would be insane for anyone to think that way, especially since, again, AJ made his name outside of WWE and he solidified his name in WWE, but he was a made man already prior to coming to WWE.
Sure.
Like, forget even TNA. AJ's New Japan run is one of the most important runs that any American wrestler's ever had overseas.
No doubt.
He provided a huge degree of legitimacy to the New Japan style in the United States. He revitalized that company for American audiences and built the path for AEW to exist with the likes of Kenny and the Bucks. Like, that all directly correlates to AJ Styles, does it not?
He was a huge part of the Bullet Club getting as hot as it became.
So I think it would be crazy for fans to then turn around and say that cheapens his retirement. Like, that was very deliberate, in my opinion, Matt. When AJ says in that promo last week on Raw, this would be my WWE retirement, or retire from WWE, whatever the verbiage was.
Right.
That felt very deliberate to me.
It does. It feels deliberate. It sounds deliberate, and I think it was done deliberately.
Does it hurt Gunther if he shows up in TNA or AEW?
Not as long as he's not wrestling in WWE. No, I mean Gunther. I mean that's the whole thing. That's. I mean he said that too. It'll be the end of my WWE career. I mean that seems like the stakes that were put down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the stakes that were put down. So as long as you adhere to those stakes, we're all good, right?
How many guys can you think of that actually stayed retired after their last match? Wrestling retirements are fickle, as Bryan Danielson would say.
Yeah, fickle. I like when he's doing the fickle bit. Fickle's such a great word.
Like I don't know. I believe AJ saying stuff like that was very deliberate. I feel like that was him trying to control his own narrative and take control of his career path and how he actually wraps all this up.
Yeah. I got John Cena. John Cena, he stayed retired.
So far. Now, if the Crown Prince calls and wants John Cena in WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia, who's to say? Guess we'll find out what happens there. But
as long as it doesn't cut it, as long as it doesn't cut into my portion, John.
That could certainly happen. It could certainly happen. Look at you.
Delete.
So that's the match you want. Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. He's putting it out there. He's calling a shot, folks. He's calling a shot. Big money, Matt. I don't know. I don't want to have to suck on your blood money, Matt. That'd be, that'd be not great there. But yeah, do you think there's any chance we have seen AJ Styles wrestle his last match? Any chance at all?
My gut says no.
No. Okay.
My gut says he will perform again. He will wrestle again.
I'm not ready to say goodbye to him yet. Selfishly.
I know. I don't think most people are. Like, dude, I mean, it's one thing if he was out there and it was just like, oh, well, like, he's got Jimmy legs and, you know, like, he's got these injuries and what I mean, he's like healthy and he's still killing it. And he's just so explosive and everything he does. He's just like, he still looks like he's on the top of his game. And when you see a guy like that is so good and so entertaining, you don't want him to go away yet.
Certainly so. Certainly so. We will see. I think TNA is almost a guarantee, and it's a matter of what happens after that or before that. Who's to say? Yeah. But I assume it will be after. Hey, speaking of TNA, I want to real quick. One of your old TNA guys, Joe Hendry, he's the NXT champion. How do you feel about that?
I was very happy. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the show last night, but I did know he was in that match, and I saw the results a little later. Sent him out a congratulatory post, and it was in cinema text as well. But just happy for him, man. I know whenever he decided to make this journey and come over here to the States and move over here and invest everything else when it was all said and done, he ultimately wanted to end up at WWE. So I'm happy that has happened for him. And now he's an NXT champion, and it seems like he's on the right path to go to that main roster and become a star on one of the main roster shows, which was his ultimate goal.
As I say, sometimes you just got to give the fans what they want. If the fans want to see it happen, just give it to them. Make it compelling and give it to them. You don't got to have them jump through 17 hurdles. Just give them the chance and then see where you go from there. So we'll see. To wrap things up here, last one from Dave. In a handful of words, what do you guys think AJ's legacy in the business as a whole is, whether he's done now or at the end of the year?
I mean, I think AJ's legacy, first and foremost, I mean, considering he is a little bit on the shorter side, you know, you used that Pitbull reference earlier. I feel like, once again, he just continued to prove people wrong, that you could be of a little bit of a smaller size and you could work a unique style that kind of was like a hybrid style where you use a little bit of everything in what you're doing and make it work and become successful. And not only make it work and become successful, but go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and dominate over there, go to WWE and dominate over there, become a multi-time world champion. I mean, he has broken down so many walls that people would have suggested were going to be in his way, an obstacle that he could not get through in the beginning of his career. So I think anyone that feels like they're a little undersized or wish they would have been a little taller or have a little bit bigger of a frame, whatever else, I think AJ Styles is a great example of someone who just said, like, no excuses. Just go out there and get it. Go out there and be as good as you can possibly be. Go out there and be explosive, be as good as you can be innovative, be original, and you can make it work for you.
AJ Styles is your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. He is truly one of the most innovative performers in the history of the industry. He walked so guys like Ospreay and Ricochet could run. He changed the game, and that's his legacy. And I think it's even more impressive that he was able to carry it over to WWE and still have a pretty damn good run when all said and done. Like a legitimate, in a bubble, right? Just looking at his WWE career, he had a Hall of Fame WWE career.
A great run. I mean, dude, he was the champion. I mean, you can't ask for anything bigger. I mean, that means you were at the top of your game. So that's undeniable.
So shout out to AJ, whatever he does here. Guess we'll find out. But if he does show up in TNA, I'd be open to seeing some matches with him. And who that ends up being with, whether it's a guy like Kazarian or Santana or your boy Leon, whomever it may be, I'd like to see some matches. And maybe he could teach those pesky guys in the system a lesson too.
Yeah, damn pesky system guys.
You can never get away from those system guys. They're just so annoying.
Oh my god, they're back. They're back again. For a part two.
You freaking do Brian Myers a favor. You show up. You do his live podcast in Orlando, and then right after that, he's out there being an asshole to everyone. How about that?
There you have it.
As your old pal Hurricane would say, "What's up with that?"
Exactly.
Here's what's up. AdvertiseWithHari.com. Promote your business to the extreme. Get out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. That's AdvertiseWithHari.com. You're going to Nashville this weekend. There's going to be a Hardy party. There's going to be signings. It's going to be a good time in Nash Vegas. So I hope it is a fun time for you there. Anything else you want to say to the Die Hardys?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're doing a couple of days of promotion in Nashville on Thursday and Friday because we have live events. We have a live PLE, and we're taping TVs next weekend for TNA. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be at the Nashville Celebrity Comic-Con, and Saturday night at Jesus Christ, at John Daly's in Nashville, we are going to be having a Hardy party. That is the venue, yes. Good so that's Saturday night. That should be a lot of fun.
The wheels are churning for some premium Hardy parties this year. I had some conversations today. I haven't even told you about them. I had some conversations. So be on the lookout, folks, because a Hardy party could be coming to your neck of the woods on the East Coast and the Midwest. Get ready, because you never know where the Hardy Boys are going to show up. But I do know that the words have been spoken. And we'll see you next time right here on The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Delete!